What is going on, Stallions? Welcome to the Gamer Heaven, where we focus on where gaming started, where it's at, and where it's going. Controller me, baby. I wonder what these controllers could go to. Today we're taking a look at a VR headset that is being praised all over the VR community as well as on YouTube for being the best headset. Not just in the $300 price point, but well beyond that. What am I talking about? The Oculus Quest 2, successor of the Quest 1. The headset and the controllers pack in a ton of features that you only see in very premium, mid to flagship grade VR headsets. And it does all this at an entry point of $300 US. But nothing in gaming is perfect, and this headset certainly isn't either. So let's find out if this thing is a dank banger, as the kids say, or if it's just been pumped up by a bunch of hype and fluff. Let's get it. Alrighty guys, over here at the Stormtrooper Desktop, if you're new to the channel, this is where we do our unboxings, custom controller builds, PC builds, and a whole bunch of other fun stuff. So, cutting into the box here, I will say I like the aesthetics of this box. This is a handsome box. I would take this box out for a nice seafood dinner and never call it again. So there are two different models of the Quest V2. They are virtually identical, minus the memories. This is a 64 gigabyte model, which retails for $300 US, and then for $400 US, there is a 256 gigabyte model. Now, you can play games wirelessly and also tethered to a PC, so games like, for example, Half-Life Alyx, but there's also a massive library that makes this a completely standalone headset, which is one of its shining features, is that you don't need a powerful gaming PC with a great graphics card. You can literally just use the controllers and the headset itself, download some games, movies, experiences from the Quest library, and that is virtually all you need to get into VR. Now, this is lauded as not only one of the best starter headsets to get into VR, but basically punching well above its weight class. Some of the features that it offers, you don't really see until you get into the $1,000 and up flagship devices, which is pretty impressive to say the least. So opening it up, I gotta say I am a fan of the packaging. Now, I'm a little bit bougie or a snob when it comes to things like instruction manuals and packaging, because it shows attention to detail and it gives you an experience when you get your new product. So it tells you the 3 steps that you need to get hooked up here. You pull the tab out of both of these controllers like that, which is kind of, we gotta use a little muscle, boys. My goodness gracious. Come on, baby girl. Awesome, got that one. It's flashing now as it's waiting to pair. And batteries are already pre-installed on these. Battery life on these controllers will last anywhere between your retirement and your death. But no, in all honesty, they last several weeks to several months. Now, the headset itself is a different story. You're looking at about 2 hours of battery life, which isn't phenomenal. You are going to be charging this bad boy quite a bit, and unfortunately, you cannot hot swap and remove the batteries for a fresh one. You basically have to charge it, so that is definitely a downside. So it runs on one AA battery in each controller, and that is pre-installed. You just need to pull that tab, and these are good to go. They also, of course, come with wrist straps for safety. You definitely want to make sure you use those. We've seen too many stories of TVs slain over the years, all the way back to the Wii, and then definitely with VR. So in this little box right here, you are going to have so this little thin pamphlet here is just your reference guide that goes over features like lens adjustment. However, you have this video, so you don't really need this. I'm going to give you everything you need to know. Then this thicker booklet or brochure here is your safety and warranty guide, explaining not to drive your car with the headset on, or try sprinting through your house, stubbing your toe on every corner and ledge due to wearing this headset. You also have your charger here, which is USB-C. Always like to see that. And then you also have a glasses spacer, so if you wear prescription glasses. Now, there are aftermarket companies, third-party companies that do make lens inserts for the actual headset itself. Basically, little glass inserts that go over the lenses in there, so you don't need to wear your glasses in the headset. They just snap on over the existing glass lenses in there, which is really, really cool. So it gives you a little disclaimer here. Move lenses to the left or to the right to find the clearest view. So that is definitely one of the first steps you want to do when you get any VR headset. Right, and then you have these protective sheets over the glasses here, which also have a warning not to have the lenses under direct sunlight. So a lot of people have been trying to use these outside, like in their backyard and stuff like that. That's actually a really poor idea, because these 4 cameras here, these are the sensors. Holy moly, mother of God. So these 4 sensors here are actually camera lenses with a pass-through. So sunlight, direct sunlight, will actually burn through there, and there's a screen, a single LCD panel behind this, and that can actually get damaged from that. So you definitely do not want to damage your new headset. So build quality on this is pretty darn impressive for $300, or $400 if you go with the higher memory version. Plastics feel super solid. The only thing is the stock head strap is not great. It's this cheap cloth material. They do sell a deluxe head strap for $50 US, which I highly recommend. I would test out the headset for a while first. Make sure you actually like it, you enjoy it. So in comparison to the original Quest, this piece of tech is actually pretty darn impressive. The resolution is almost 50 times crisper. You have a resolution per eye of 1832 by 1920. Slightly less battery life, slightly less weight, and it retails cheaper than the original Quest. Now, this is an AIO or all-in-one, so this is literally all you need to experience VR is what comes in the box. The controllers and the headset. And you can basically install games and experiences, movies, concerts, stuff like that, from the Oculus store. However, if you want to get a more PC-rich experience, you can connect this to a gaming PC with a compatible graphics card through Oculus Link, which is a USB-C adapter that allows you to plug this into a PC. Now, I will say there are a couple of downgrades from the original Quest, and the most notable is that since they went with a single LCD display in here versus an OLED display like the original, the colors don't seem quite as vibrant and poppy as the original Quest, and also the brightness. You know, the darks don't get as completely blacked out as it was an OLED display on the original, and also super bright scenes don't get quite as bright. But it's not bad by any means. I have played around with the Quest 2 in the past, and I really did like it quite a bit. So another complaint, the IPD, which is basically your pupil distance between your eyes, because everyone's eyes are narrow or farther apart. Most headsets have a slider where you can just freely adjust the 2 lenses. This one actually has 3 distinct settings, which are labeled inside the headset, 1, 2, and 3. So once you turn the headset on for the first time, you will want to set your IPD. For me, I think 2 is the best, and then it's also kind of weird when you get to 3, which is the widest IPD setting, it cuts off some of your field of view a little bit. So if you're playing like a BR or first-person shooter where you definitely want field of view, not to mention anything in VR, you want a high field of view because it puts you into the immersion of being having your peripherals where you're basically the entire goggle is taken up, you know, with your peripherals. So that's kind of cut down a little bit. Comfort-wise, it's also not the best, and that is for 3 reasons. First of all, it's an AIO or all-in-one, which means this has a screen in it, a battery, memory, so yeah, storage, a pretty good-sized battery, even though it only gets like 2 hours of battery life, and basically all the hardware to run this thing. You know, a wireless Bluetooth card, a Wi-Fi card, all that is in this headset, which, you know, it's not heavy by any means, but this is going to be on the front of your head. It's not back distributed at all. They didn't put like the battery or anything on the back here. So all that weight is kind of in the front, which for long sessions can be a little bit uncomfortable. Also, this foam isn't the best in here. It's soft to the touch, but it doesn't feel very plush, like some nice velour material or some nice mesh cooling gel or anything like that. It's literally just foam. Now, there are a ton of aftermarket companies that make accessories, different head straps, different face inserts, rubberized grips for the controllers, etc. I will be making a separate video of some actual good accessories that I do recommend to better your enjoyment of this headset. Some of them are just kind of gimmicky and you can pass on, save your cash for games or something else, but some of them you definitely do want. For example, the head strap. The stock head strap on here is just this little cloth, nothing special head strap, and it doesn't really provide a lot of support. There's exposed plastic here. It's going to be pressing up against the back of your skull. Now, they do sell directly from Oculus what's called the Elite head strap. It is a $50 US option. However, it's on sale right now on Amazon for $30. That will be linked in the description below, as well as the PC link cable and a couple other things that I had mentioned in this video so far. And with this headset, there is virtually no screen door effect, which is basically in earlier VR headsets or cheaper VR headsets when it looks like you're literally staring through a screen door. It kind of has that hazy look to it. So the build quality actually feels pretty good. I don't hear any creaks or moans or groans as I'm squeezing on it right now. It is an all plastic build, so you know that's kind of good. Plastic's going to be lighter than having some aluminum on there or anything, but all in all, it's a pretty nice headset, and this sensor-wise is an inside-out, meaning it has 4 sensors on it, which basically look outward, and that's what sees the controller, as well as your room, too. You're going to set what's called a guardian space. We're going to do that in this video here, where you draw out a line in your floor, and whenever you're in a game and you start to swing around too wide or anything, it'll put up these invisible barriers in the game, and you'll actually get a pass-through showing you the live view of your room through these cameras. Granted, it is black and white and relatively low resolution, but at least you'll be able to see, oh, my dog walked in, or oh, you know, somebody just called my name in the house. And you can also turn that on at any time by double tapping the side, either side of the headset, and that will put you into pass-through mode, so you don't have to take off your headset and readjust. Now, you do also have speakers built into the head strap here. They're not the best, but it is nice just to have audio here, period. So if you don't feel like popping in some earbuds or some over-the-ear headphones, which obviously will give you the most immersion into the VR world, but at least it does have built-in audio. That's kind of nice. And then it has a 3.5mm headphone jack, USB-C for charging, as well as 2 microphones on the bottom and your volume up and down. Now, as for the controllers, they actually feel quite ergonomically good in the hand, and they do have those typical ring sensors that you will see in a lot of other controllers. They do have analog sticks on each side. They can also be clicked down, so think of that like L3 and R3 on a controller, you know, to maybe make your character sprint, press it down. And then you have a XY and an A-B button for gaming. You have 2 triggers, which feel really good, actually. Not a great resistance to them, but a good amount of travel in there. So if you needed to modulate it for something like, I don't know, a racing game or something, you can definitely do that. And then you also have inner grip buttons here. So when you're picking something up in a VR game, you squeeze these right here as if you're literally picking it up, and then drop it. And that's how that works. And this is integrated into a lot of VR games. So if you need to grab something or someone, who knows, you're feeling a little bit frisky, you can do that and toss them aside. Now, a lot of controversy or talk around this headset is the fact that you do need a Facebook account to log in, which to me doesn't seem like a huge deal because most people do have a Facebook account. However, if you're one of those people that post a lot of spicy, risque posts, if you ever do get banned from Facebook, your headset literally will not work because it is linked with that login. And if you get banned from Facebook, they brick your headset, which is ridiculous. But it's not just posting spicy, risque posts on Facebook. If you try to link 2 Facebook accounts to the same headset, they don't want you sharing a headset. They will block your Facebook account and brick your headset from that. If you make any posts on your Facebook about trying to find free Oculus games, you know, i.e. pirated or illicit copies, or asking the community on Facebook about how to jailbreak a Quest 2, Facebook sees that. Their moderators will block they'll block your stuff as well. So just make sure you keep your Facebook in good standing. And, you know, here's how I view it. You probably already have a Facebook. You've probably already linked Facebook up with other applications because a lot of other apps use Facebook to log in anyway. And yes, they do collect third-party data, but most of that's primarily for marketing anyway, just so when people do digital marketing campaigns, they know what you're into and what you're not into. They didn't require you with the Quest 1 to log in via Facebook. You had an option to, but it was not required. The Quest 2, it is actually required to log in. So, little disclaimer there. That might be a deal breaker for some of you guys. There's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of other good VR headsets out there that I will be reviewing on this channel. So, not a huge deal, but full disclaimer. So getting set up with the Quest 2 really is quite a breeze. It's a 3-step process. The first one is to pull the tabs out of the bottom of the controllers, which we already did. Step 2 is to attach the goggles to your face and use these 2 back straps. You pull them out to the sides like this to tighten up. And then once you have it situated on your head, you're going to hold this power button here for 2 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds. And if you're not wearing it correctly, the image will look blurry, but as soon as you readjust it, that is when, holy crap. So the resolution here is actually really good. I see these controllers right now. There's laser beams coming off of them, like off into the distance. Now you can actually screen share with these, so if you're a streamer, you want to stream some VR video games or whatever, you can actually screen share directly from this headset. I'll have a future tutorial how to do that, as I am going to be streaming with this thing as well. The audio actually sounds pretty good. So right now there's audio playing directly into my ears. You guys may or may not be able to hear it through the microphone, but it's really interesting because it's like spatial audio, so it sounds like it's immersing me, but it's just from the speakers up here on the headset. It's actually really impressive. Technically, I think I'm probably right in between 1 and 2, but since you don't have a slider, you have to go off those 3 presets. Oh yeah, 2 is the money for me. That is crispy like a Dorito, baby. So while I did mention the resolution is almost 50% crisper than the original Quest, I forgot to mention the refresh rate is actually boosted from 75 hertz to 90 hertz, which is very welcome for fast motion games like shooters, BRs, racing games, etc. Now, that is not in all titles. The developers of each game or application have to optimize, and most of them have in the in-game settings. You'll be able to change 75 or 90. Now, granted, 90 will drain the battery faster. That's when you start getting around 2 hours of battery life. You can squeeze out about 2.5 hours if you're sticking to 75, and you also reduce the brightness a little bit. But the first thing that it will prompt you to do after you enter your Wi-Fi and enter the password for that is to plug into the wall and do a firmware update, which took about 8 minutes. It's done now, and I am now in the main menu. And you definitely want to make sure you mess around with the IPD between the 3 settings, and also get it positioned just right on your face, because I had it a little bit low at first, kind of resting on my cheekbones, and it actually needed to be up a little bit more to where I feel like it's actually not centered. It's a little bit high on my face, but it actually looks the best for my my pupils, my corneas, I guess you could say. So now you need to download the Oculus mobile app and enter a 5-digit code that's being displayed on my screen right here. So the initial setup process actually took quite a while. I mean, look, I'm in a different shirt, for God's sake. Well, no, I did want to get a little bit more comfortable for that VR movement and whatnot, but seriously, it took a long time. You need to have an Oculus account, which I had one from probably 7 or 8 years ago. Probably longer than that, because the Oculus device that I had, my first ever VR headset, was called the Gear VR, which you had to put a Samsung compatible phone like a Galaxy or a Samsung Edge. I had an S7 Edge at the time. You pop it in there, and basically it would make your cell phone screen, which by the way got very, very warm, made your phone hot to the touch, broke that into 2 separate images, and basically would turn that into VR. The resolution was super bad, tracking was terrible, it wasn't great, but it was phenomenal for like 8-9 years ago. But I didn't remember my Oculus password, so I had to reset that. Then you need to log into Facebook. It wouldn't recognize my Oculus password. Then it wanted what I thought was my email password, but I guess really my email was my login for Oculus. And then you have to go through, I am kidding you not, no joke here. I mean, I did try to be a stand-up comedian for a while, didn't work out, but this is no joke here, guys. But the punchline is this. It really punched me around. You have to go through like 13 pages going back and forth in a non-stop loop between Facebook application and Oculus.com to get your accounts merged. And finally you get them merged, and then you're like, oh, I'm done. Not really. You're back in the loop. Then you need to pair your headset. Enough of that. Now we're going to set up the Guardian area. Now, I have a pretty good sized room here. There's plenty of room for VR in here. The living room's even bigger. I can move my coffee table out of the way. And that has like vaulted ceilings, so I don't have to worry about like if I'm swinging my hands up hitting the overhead fan. So that's cool. So I'd have more vertical room in the living room. But for now, like, honestly, this room has a lot of space for VR. So we're gonna set up what's called the Guardian boundary right now. All right, so right now, there's a pass-through. I can actually see my hands, I can see my room. It's black and white, and it's not the prettiest graphics or anything like that, but I can see my actual room. There's my printer. All right, so you're gonna touch your floor with the grid. Now you're gonna define your play area. A lot of other VR headsets, in fact, most of them, I think all of them besides this one, it has to be an exact square or rectangle. Here, you can actually do a little cutout if you have like a little table right there, then you have another table right there. You can set up like a custom area, which is really cool. Point your controller at the floor, then press and hold the trigger to draw the boundary of your cleared play area. We recommend a play area size of about 6.5 feet by 6.5 feet or greater for room scale experiences. Not a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this out. And what this is going to do is when you're playing a game and you start walking around because you're all immersed and whatnot, it'll basically go to the pass-through mode where you can see where your room is, and it'll give you like a little alert that you're getting out of your safe area. Oh, that's trippy. So now I'm like boxed in by like these invisible boundaries. That's insane. It goes all the way from my floor to my ceiling. It's like I'm boxed in a cage. Brings me back to my jailhouse days. Oh, wow. What a trip. So I can see how, like, I'm still in the virtual world, but if I get close to my Guardian area, it'll literally put this, like, grid around me telling me, hey, careful, you're getting close to hitting something. Alright, this headset just keeps amazing me for the features that it has for the price. So it has full hand tracking right now. As you can see, I have gotten rid of the controllers. And now I can actually pinch to select different items in the menu. I can actually scroll by pinching and then going up and down web pages. This is awesome. Look at your palm at eye level, then hold your thumb and index finger together until the Oculus icon fills up. Double tap the left or right side of your headset to turn on pass-through. Double tap again to exit pass-through. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So you have to activate that feature in the settings, but I now have it activated, so I can just, boom, puts me right back into VR. Then I need to see what's going on. Bam. You're right there. I see you. Hey guys, I've been playing with the Quest 2 relentlessly since last night, and I gotta say, it's pretty amazing. There's a lot of hype around this headset, and I kind of wanted to go into it with a clear, open mind. I did watch some previous reviews and whatnot just so I could get an idea of the specifications, but I didn't develop any kind of bias or anything. I didn't plan to jump on the bandwagon with what all the other reviewers are saying and whatnot. So this is strictly my unbiased opinion, having about 8 hours into this headset so far. It is insane for the price. Now there are some downsides, obviously, one of those being you have to link up your Facebook, but to me that's not a huge deal. Granted, the process was insanely frustrating for me because so many pages to click through to link the accounts, and then I didn't remember my Oculus password because it's from like 8 years ago. But to a lot of people, that is a huge deal breaker, especially if you are, you know, strictly against social media, and obviously you're not going to get a social media account and go against your core values for a damn $300 headset. There's literally no headset, not just into the $300 price point, but like sub $700 that can stand toe-to-toe with this thing. You can use this in 3 different methods. You can use it basically as an AIO or all-in-one, where you don't need any headsets plugged in, you don't need anything but the controllers and the headset, and you play games and experiences directly from the headset application. You can play it tethered to a PC via a USB-C direct link, and that is a good option to play PC games. Or you can use the virtual desktop to play wirelessly up to its native maximum refresh rate of 90 Hertz virtually. So no tethered cable, you're playing PC VR experiences such as Half-Life Alyx. Now, you do need a pretty good router, Wi-Fi 6, and a good connection to do that. However, I feel like a lot of people that are buying a VR headset probably are already avid tech consumers and gamers that probably already have a good router and modem combo for just regular console or PC gaming anyway. That's probably not going to be an extra expense for you. So how the actual headset felt, it felt pretty good. It does get warm on the panel. Obviously, I would run this thing all the way till the battery dies, which, by the way, is only about 2.5 hours. About 2 hours if you have the brightness all the way up and you're playing a game. A little bit longer if you're just watching media like YouTube VR or like the virtual Netflix studio, and you're capped at like 75 Hertz and you have the brightness down. You'll squeeze out about 3 hours on the high end. Then it takes 2.5 hours to charge it. So I wish they either had hot swappable batteries, like I mentioned earlier, or if not, they at least had fast charging to where you could get to a full charge in about 30 to 45 minutes. Vice, literally, the charge time is the same as the actual use time. That's pretty frustrating, especially because the headset's so good. I was having such a good time playing games and just enjoying the VR experience that I wasn't ready to put it down after 2 hours, but I was forced to, which I guess is good to take a break back in the real world, but yeah. So the panel itself gets a little bit warm to the touch. If you put your hand on the outside of the panel, you'll feel some warmth. That's to be expected. I mean, there's an LCD screen in there. Resolution looks really good, and also it keeps the sweet spot pretty good. The sweet spot's where you don't want it angled at all to the side or up or down on your face. You want your pupils, your corneas directly dead center with the lenses. You want your perfect IPD or pupil distance set, And once you set that sweet spot, the head strap, while not the most comfortable, did a really good job of holding the sweet spot for my entire 2-hour sessions to where I wasn't getting any blur, distortion, screen door effect, anything like that. It just looked good and worked good. Audio quality actually really impressed me. So the headset itself does have built-in speakers, as you can see right here. They're pretty insane because I've never personally experienced any kind of headphones like that don't go in your ears, but yet they project the sound out over your ears, and it actually sounded pretty good. I've heard a lot of other reviewers say, oh, they're trash, you're going to want to put in a headset. Yeah, I mean, for full immersion, I would recommend getting a nice set of over-the-ear headphones so you can get that nice booming bass and whatnot, but they sounded pretty good. In fact, 90% of my playtime on this has just been with the internal built-in speakers, and it sounded pretty good to me, and I'm an audiophile. I usually bitch about things like poor audio quality. They sounded pretty good to me. Next up is the software. There is a ton of games inside the Oculus store, but it doesn't really end there. You can plug to your PC and have access to the entire PC library for Oculus as well, which is really, really cool. So no shortage of content there. And there is also a lot of free content. I am going to make a separate video in the very near future with a lot of free experiences to try out with your Quest 2. So games and also just multimedia experiences. Now moving on to these controllers, because I have quite a bit to say about these. These are pretty awesome, I'm not going to lie. So ergonomically, they felt really good in my hand. I have pretty average North American hands, Xbox One controllers, PS5 controllers, they fit me just fine. And I have got to say, this felt ergonomically really good. The buttons have a nice tactile click to them. You have 2 analog sticks, which are relatively short, so you're not getting a lot of travel in there. But that's not a huge deal. And then also you get these nice modulating triggers, which actually sense when your finger is touching them. So before you actually start to squeeze it, if you just put your finger on it, it knows that you're trying to either make a fist or you're trying to point at something in the game, which is awesome. And then these inner buttons here do the exact same thing. It'll know when you're touching, and then you can just gently squeeze to pick things up and then toss and release. It's really cool. Same thing with these the top face buttons here. It senses your thumbs. So before you even press down the buttons, just by resting your thumb on there, it knows, okay, I'm not trying to do a thumbs up to somebody in the game or whatever. So these are really cool. They also have insanely good haptic feedback in there. If you've used the PS5 DualSense controller, it's very similar to that. It's not just some sloppy rumble force motor in there. It's actually really crisp, tactile feedback that really does add to the immersion of the game. And then overall, tracking with these was really good too. I never lost tracking once. And that was a concern for me, as this is a inside-out tracking system, so you've got 4 sensors there, instead of a external tracking system or an outside-in, where you set up a base station throughout your room, which you will need for other headsets to get full-body tracking and obviously the most accurate tracking possible. But this worked phenomenally for me. There's also hand tracking with this headset that did work very good, so if you don't want to use these because you're just browsing the menu to watch some Netflix or YouTube, you could literally pinch and pull menus around, quick pinch them to select. Like, it worked really, really good. So my final verdict, this is an insane value. I literally think this is the headset to buy if you are getting into VR for the first time or for the first time in a long time like myself. It is very impressive because it's technically a 3-in-1. It does the all-in-one standalone headset thing. It does tethered to the PC, or it does wireless to the PC, so you have an endless supply of content to play on it. Comfort was relatively good, and there's a ton of third-party aftermarket accessories to change the face padding, or the face interface as they call it, to change things like the grips for the controllers, to change the head strap. And again, I am going to do a lot of future content on this headset here, going over, must-have accessories, going over free experiences to play, and then also just tips and tricks to optimize your experience with your Quest 2 headset. This would be a great beginner headset, or even a pickup for somebody that already has a PC-only headset. So maybe you've got the Valve Steam or the HTC Vive. This would be good if you enjoy VR, but sometimes you don't want to power on your PC and launch all the software programs and be tethered by a cable. You just want to quickly pop on your headset and enjoy some VR content on your couch or something. This thing is great for that. So again, there is going to be a ton of content on the Quest 2 coming out on this channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you are alerted when those videos come online. If you enjoyed this video, it was informative and entertaining for you, liking the video helps it to get seen by more people, which does in turn help me to grow my little channel, and I do greatly, greatly appreciate that. Subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.